It's more than just a game, it's a way of life.
Football is true love, man.
Football teaches you life lessons.
It is entertainment, it is passion, it is ingrained into who we are as people.
It's just more, man, it's just more.
We have been invited here by Sports Direct. This is the new Oxford Street store. It is looking fresh. Shout out to Sports Direct on that one. We have got some amazing guests for you today, and I'm so excited to get started. So let's go. I'm going to put you all on the spot. We're going to go down the line. So Hannah, we're going to start with you. Why is football more than just a game in 2 sentences?
So obviously I work with the younger generation, and I think not being able to play the game they love has really impacted their mental and physical well-being, and I think it's so important.
I love that response.
For me, I think it brings a sense of belonging to people. I think you find yourself in a community at grassroots level and you're part of something, and I think that's why it's so important. And the fans as well, it's just, we've seen obviously through COVID now, without fans it's not been as great and enjoyable, and you've seen even yesterday at Wembley all the fans back. So no, I think it's massive for the fans as well.
Love that word you use, belonging. Felicia?
For me, I would say that football, I guess, allows people to express themselves. And me personally, that would be in a more creative way and not as a player. If you look at it as a really thriving creative community and people thinking outside the box and expressing what football is through art, through fashion, through music, through food, through so many different things. So I'd say that's why football is more than just a game.
Amazing. Love that.
Yeah, I agree with what all the girls have said. I think it's people's life as well. I think you don't wake up not thinking about football when you do it for a living. So I think it's my life.
Yeah, I feel like you're getting a bit emotional there. You're like, my life. I love that. So this one is for Katie and Gabby. When did you realise that football wasn't just going to be a game in your life?
I think for me, I've played it since I was 5 years old. So when you're grown, and I was playing with boys and then moved on to the girls team when you have to eventually stop playing with the boys. But I think it got real for me once I started getting picked for my national team, and I thought, right, this, you can kind of make a career out of this. And seeing even when I was younger, Arsenal play at Wembley against like the Evertons back in the day, Irish players playing for Arsenal at the time, and it gives you something to look to, and I think even now, using our platform we have, it's important to keep inspiring that next generation through players and coaches as well.
Amazing. And Gabby?
I wouldn't say that I thought it was going to be my career until I signed my first professional deal. I think growing up, you can watch football, but it was never a full-time career or a full-time job for the women out there then. So it's come a long way, and to be able to play it professionally is surreal. So it's good to have that ambition to look forward to for the girls growing up.
Interesting one. I'm really excited for this answer. And this goes to all of you. So whoever wants to go first, feel free to jump at it. Who was the first player you had on the back of your shirt?
It was Damien Duff. Chelsea player though. But no, I loved him when I was younger. I just used to watch him playing in the Premier League. Him and Ian Robin, 2 left footers, and I think I'd asked Santa Claus for Damien Duff, number 11, green long sleeve Ireland shirt for Christmas one year, and woke up Christmas morning and got it then. But absolutely was just obsessed with the number 11 then, and obviously the Ireland shirt, and now I'm wearing McCabe 11, so it became reality. And I think that was where I kind of
nice
started.
I'm gonna have to say I think it was Ronaldo or Louis Saha.
Which Ronaldo?
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Cristiano Ronaldo. I needed to double check. There's a few of them floating about.
True. Oh, it was Louis Saha, one of them. I did think I was a striker back in the day.
And Hannah?
I'm not sure I'm such a fan of his now, but mine was Ryan Giggs. So I grew up in South Wales, and he was what Gareth Bale was, the Welsh team in that different generation. But I think the nice thing now is we're all talking here about having male players on the back of our shirts, and we're hoping that the next generation don't have, Ronaldo or Messi, that, they're having Steph Houghton, or they're having
Katie McCabe or Gabby George.
And it's and that's what we want to inspire, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Felicia? Was there always a desire to combine football and fashion into a magazine? And was there a moment that really triggered this and started it for you?
I guess it was a build-up over time. Like I said, being obsessed with Chelsea from like 2004 to kind of making my first steps into fashion and actually meeting so many great women, but just creative generally, that were just obsessed with football and no one really knew about it. Because there was always this thing of like, what does a football fan look like? And there were stereotypes that obviously completely narrow and wrong. So yeah, it was a combination of all these things. Then I did like an NCTJ, and then I did a sports journalism module, and I thought, yeah, this isn't for me. I want to be a little bit more creative and free and experimental with this. And then with the fashion side, it's just like, you know, looking at fashion weeks, if you really look closely, there's at least one football reference every season. And seeing that and seeing again how different people are using football to express themselves and express their ideas. So yeah, I guess season started in 2016. I think I'd also just seen like the women in Canada and like just football generally, and being obsessed with it and seeing that actually women were starting to grow, and Eni Aluko, and just again I got into Chelsea women. So yeah, it all came together, and for me I wanted it to be print, and I wanted it to look at this in a different way, and I guess also just spotlight like the women on the rise, but show them like a 360 view of them. So like who they are off the pitch, what they wear, what they dress, how like, you know, fashion designers, like what they think of football and how they support, and all these things that like now I guess are way more commonplace like 5 years later, but at the time you didn't really hear about.
Gabby and Katie, next one's for you. Did anyone tell you that you wouldn't make it?
I wouldn't say I wouldn't make it. My dad said I was quite rubbish when I was younger, so he stopped watching me. And him and my mum used to come down, drop me off, go for food, pick me up. How was that? They watched one game and he was like, yeah, it's not for you, is it?
And now you're pro.
When I was in secondary school, I had a teacher. I'd come in. I was always out of school through football and going away with Ireland at like elite phases and stuff like that. So I missed a lot of school. And I remember coming back from a game I was playing with my club, broke my leg, and I remember coming back in the Monday, Tuesday, and teacher saying to me like, "I told you so." Like, as in like, you obviously can't depend on it, you need a career elsewhere, But obviously I just had in my head that I wanted to be playing football and go abroad and hopefully get a professional contract. And I think that I told you so kind of stuck with me ever since. And yeah, I've like proved her wrong then, so that's always nice as well. So yeah.
Do you remember the first time you saw someone with your name on the back of their shirt?
I think that would have been at an Arsenal game, which was crazy, yeah, because it's something, obviously, spoke about me wanting Damien Duff at the back of my shirt, and then to have a kid have McCabe, number 15, on the back of their Arsenal shirt is like, yeah, it's pretty cool, you can't lie. But yeah, it's a lovely moment, and you show those girls that they've someone to look up to, and you can be a role model for them. And yeah, obviously, the support of the fans is second to none as well, so it's a lovely feeling.
So we're going to move on to the next little segue, which is a big thing for sport. It's quite big. The Olympics. How do we think the Olympics benefits sport in general? And then we're going to also segue into women's football. How do we think it enables to put sports on the map? Felicia?
I think it just makes it more visible. Like what I find really exciting is like between each Olympics, like new sports are like added to the roster. I think generally just putting visibility on like the range of different things you can do and how you can move your body and excel, and like actually what the human body can do. Like some of the weightlifters, like javelin throwers, high jumpers, like there's things that I'm like, damn, I can't do that. I'm in awe of like what people can do, and like if you train, if you're dedicated, like what you can achieve. So,
Hannah, same for you?
Yeah, and I think, just looking down the store now, let's not also forget the Paralympics. Unbelievable seeing, some of the athletes out there and what they're able to achieve, like puts me to shame at 100%. And I think, we talk about, women's football is struggling to sort of get on the map. If you're an athlete, if you're a runner, if you're a swimmer, if you're taekwondo, judo, all these athletes really struggle to have visibility. And the Olympics is their chance to be on telly, to have their name, on the news, to get them their sponsorship deals that can fund their training, which means they can be full-time athletes. So it's really, really important, I think, to get those sports out there.
I'm really into the Olympics. Growing up, I used to do athletics, surprisingly. Before football, I did do 100, 200 and 300 metres, so I did used to get into it quite a lot, and I do love the diverse of all the different sports. I love watching swimming, judo, all sorts. I just sit there all day, binge watching.
We've got another tournament that's currently running. It's the Men's Euros. Apparently England are bringing it home. Cape McCabe, excited? Feeling it?
See,
Are you back in England?
The media hype it up so much. If you was just a little bit more coy about it, I think people would back you a bit more. That's what but look, I made my mistake last night by wearing a Germany shirt. Maybe I'll wear an England shirt on Saturday and they might lose then as well.
Please don't.
We might be able to sort
I'm
you
in
out.
a room full of the majority of English, so I need to be careful with my words.
Hannah, is it coming home?
Well, we all hope so. But again, I'm really on about it, but I just think the inspiration that it's given to the country, and as I say, to these young players, and going back to the Olympics, really hope that Team GB do that for the women's game. It's an unbelievable summer of sports. The Euros, the Olympics, Wimbledon. And we've had such a rubbish couple of years with the pandemic. To get young people out and being active and taking up a sport, if it's football, if it's athletics, if it's swimming, if it's judo, taekwondo, whatever it is, but to inspire the next generation, I think it's just going to be huge.
100%. I want to give a personal shout out to Emma Hayes, who I think is absolutely smashing it. Emma's response that she's got has been so positive, and I think it really is aiding the change in terms of how people view women in sport. Hannah, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. And just, again, you go back a few years and it was absolutely battered to have a female commentator, wasn't it? Everyone was like, this is ridiculous, what do they know? It doesn't sound right. And it's not just the commentators, it's the presenters, it's the pundits, it's the visibility of a diverse panel of people that are interested in football, and have an expertise in football, just to show that it's not just one type of people or person who can talk about the game.
Yeah. So speaking of the Euros, we've highlighted one. For me, that's the warm-up to the main event, which is the Women's Euros. Sorry, I have to do it. It's women's football for me. We obviously have that coming up. It's on home soil, which for me, I think is going to be so big for the WSL, the championship, all the steps throughout. What is this going to mean for women's football in the UK, having it on the home turf? Is it going to be as big as the Olympics, the World Cups, in terms of pedestaling all these incredible females that are absolute ballers?
I think definitely. I think the women's game over the past few years has grown massive. I think the WSL is probably, if not the best league in the world for women's football. So I think to have it on home soil is only going to push us on further. I think taking a backseat last season during my injury, you could just see how much we're trying to thrive and trying to make it a lot more bigger and a lot more better with some of the internationals coming over. So I think it's only going to make it even more, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, like Gabby said, you look at the quality of players that are wanting to come and play in the WSL, and that's a credit to the English team as well, the girls that have done well in Canada and put it on the map. They've been absolutely brilliant the last few years, and hopefully they push on now next year and make it even bigger, because it's only for the benefit of the league and all the young girls coming through as well. So, but yeah, when you've got top class, world class players coming in to play in the league, it only spices it up a little bit more. So it's a pleasure to play in it.
Yeah.
I guess it just depends on if England can win. I have to say I often think where would we be really if England hadn't won in 1966? Would football be so massive? And I think that winning breeds that kind of passion and that support and that visibility, and also just everything around the game. We talk so much about funding and visibility and people feeling connected to it. It does come out of winning, and this tournament, means the conditions are, there's an advantage. Yeah. So hopefully it pays off. I think it was incredibly disappointing, to get to the semis and I kind of feel like, match the USA and then to go out like that, and you were so close, and it was the first time where it felt like a lot of the pieces were in a row, and there was people, we know there are record figures watching, so it's like the next step is to win, and then we will see everything go to next level. I think if not, it's still kind of almost there, but not quite there, because I just think anecdotally, when you speak to a lot of people, we all know how great women's football is, but people are still a bit not, you need that moment to spark it. It will ignite properly, but it's winning and the emotion and people being able to place that moment, be like, I was there. Yeah. That will take it to the next level.
Yeah. Women's football's a close-knit community. I think we all feel it. And saying that, is there anyone off the top of your head you think in the women's football community, especially the girls that are going to play and all the teams that are going to be there, is there anyone or any team you think they are going to do really, really well? They've progressed so much, they're putting it in. Is there anyone that sort of bounces, or any team or any manager that you think is going to really step up?
I think England, they've got it all. They've got.
She's back in England now.
Back for women, yeah.
Okay.
So play with half of them and play against them. And Gab's sitting here beside me. But you look at that squad. They've got youth. They've got experience. They've got people in their prime. I really think it's there for them if they want it next year. I might eat my words, but you've got obviously the Netherlands, who as a squad probably isn't as strong as England, but they've got a really, really strong starting 11, 12, 13 players. But yeah, I really think it's there for the girls if they want it next year. It'll be a really, really massive tournament. It's obviously here. I'm just really looking forward to it. Yeah.
We cannot oversee the progression of the women's game over the last 10 years. There has been a lot of progression. Don't get wrong, there's still more to come. But Hannah, you're making an impact in the game with what you do, and you've been involved for a while, and we can't fault how committed you are to the game. What have you seen change?
God, as I say, I just always go back to when I was a girl and there was nothing. And, and when I got a little bit older, the teams were playing, but they're all the girls had jobs, they had to work and then go training. And you look at now, we've got fully professional players, we've got youth systems, we've got sponsorship deals. We've just, I think it came out yesterday about the FA Cup, having back-to-back games, the men's and the women's, never been seen before. 50 years of the FA Cup, of the women's FA Cup. It's coming, leaps and bounds. Yeah. But we can't get complacent because, as you say, there's definitely still growth to be had in the game. We just want to, I think in terms of the Euros, I agree. I think England have got, the stars are aligning because we're just coming out of a pandemic. I don't know about anybody else, but I would watch any live sport that they let me in. So we're going to get more people wanting to come and watch the games. You're going to get more young people wanting to come and play the game. And as more young people come, then that talent pathway develops and we get better players coming through, which is a better quality product. More people want to watch it, and it's a sort of cyclical process. So no pressure, by the way, England. But I think, a really good Euros next year would really, again, kickstart that momentum again to further kick on to the next level.
Yeah. We have spoken about a lot of the positive stuff in women's football. There are a lot of them, but there also is space for improvement. And short term, I'm going to throw this out to all of you. First thing that comes to mind, what do you want to see change in the women's game?
As I say, I think visibility is key to everything. So the Sky Sports deal is massive in terms of more people are going to watch the game. It inspires the next generation, as I say, improves the quality of players. It gets more people watching it, gets more people in stadiums, gets more people buying merchandise, which feeds back into the girls having more resources to have better programs, better sports science, better kit, better travel. And it just pushes the game up another level. I think people are coming loads more open to the women's game. I'm sure we've all heard the stereotypes. It's slower, it's not the same, they need smaller goals, all this rubbish. I think, the more we're getting out there and seeing what a fantastic product it is, and I think it actually hasn't got some of the negatives that I think are creeping into the men's game, all this sort of the greed and how much the lack of accessibility to players, the diving, and some of the negativity that can be seen around the men's game. I don't think we have that in the women's game. It's still, use the word pure, it's still a proper pure product of football and the game. And I think the more people can get watching it, the more it's going to uplift the game.
I think just the level of opportunity, giving kids equal opportunity growing up from all communities, I think is so important, because Yeah, I mean, they're the future, ultimately. So I know, obviously, when I was younger, it was just boys' teams, and then you had to stop at a certain age and this and that. But I've got a younger sister now who's 14, and she's playing with girls, like, and the participants in our local club have gone through the roof of young girls, and hopefully we can just continue to see that, obviously UK and Ireland as well.
I'm going to say the continued development in resources for every club, because I feel like the league sometimes can become the top teams have it all and the bottom teams don't really have much. So then the quality of product when the top's playing the bottom isn't as good. And I think now going into a Sky Sports deal, I feel like the quality of products has got to be good for us to push the game on further. So I just think the development in the resources throughout the whole league has got to improve.
Yeah. It's clear to see that football and FIFA are very much influenced and intact, but it goes broader, it goes into fashion, music. How has this influenced you as an individual, Felicia?
I mean, with season, like it came together because like really obsessed with football, really into fashion, and I work in the industry, and like I said, it was meeting people that had all these different interests, and I think it was just thinking that like we all like more than one thing. So like it fits into your lifestyle in a different way, and like yes, it's different if you're professional, but you're interested in other things when you're not on the pitch. So it's really just bringing that all together and celebrating that really like at a really basic level. So like I said, yes, with fashion, jersey culture, but more into like high fashion as well. But then music, you know how many you can think of so many football songs or musicians and artists that reference football in their work. There's so many I could name, but I won't. But like, yeah, you can see how football kind of permeates everything in different ways. So I just feel like, yeah, that's how it does. So many different ways.
Yeah, 100%. And this is my last question, and I genuinely think this could be something beautiful. Where do you think you'd be without football?
I always say like, people say like, what would you want to be when you was a child? And I'm going to say I wanted to be a shopkeeper. So I think I'd be a shopkeeper.
Nice.
Fair play. Well, I wouldn't be here. That's the first thing without football. I don't know. I think probably just way more kind of diving 2 feet first into fashion and really looking at that in different ways. It's like I'm always interested in intersections. And that's one intersection that I've identified. So probably just doing that and just still writing and doing creative things, but just football wouldn't be the main thing that brings me joy in that space, I'd say.
Before I came over to Arsenal, I was working in Nando's, so probably still working in Nando's.
Can you still get a discount or
2 chicken Nando's?
Oi.
Yeah, honestly, it was. I was working there for about a year or something, and then left and was like, bye, I'm going to Arsenal.
Wow.
Just slightly off topic, Felicia, you need to check out the Forest Green Rovers shirt, by the way. If you're into fashion and craziness,
big.
you need to check that out.
I realised, Hannah, you've actually been in season. Issue 7, you were in the issue.
There you go.
Because we featured Forest Green Rovers. So yes, I'm like, amazing kits, amazing club. Like, I'll let you continue.
It's a pretty cool kit and made out of coffee grains this year, by the way. Recycled coffee grains. But in terms of if football wasn't here, I'd probably be teaching. I was teaching before that, paid the bills, because you'd always want to be involved in some aspects. If that's not your job, you'd want to be teaching and talking about it in a different aspect. So yeah, I'd probably be in the teaching.
Wicked. So we've got a shopkeeper, we've got a teacher, we've got a Nando's manager regional doing bits, giving everyone a discount, and Felicia still working in fashion. Amazing. That is the end of our panel. Like, I feel like I could ask you so many more questions.
Yeah, it's been quick.
Thank you so much for joining us. Shout out to Sports Direct for letting us host in the store. As I said, lovely, lovely spot. But thank you so much for coming down, you lot. I've honestly had such a blast, and I can't wait to see how we're all going to continue to smash it in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks.